Okay, so today we're going to take a look at object enemy target. And what this enemy plane does is it shoots at you instead of straight down. I think it's the orange ones. So let's create that sprite. And we'll load that sprite. Yeah, so it's that's the one we want to create. And so instead of shoot here, we're going to say target. Because it's going to target your plane when it shoots the bullet. So the bullet will come right at your plane. It won't be going straight down like some of the other bullets. Probably should center it. I think that's fine. We're also going to need a bullet coming from the enemy planes. This bullet's going to be a lot smaller than the bullet that the player plane shoots. So let's create that sprite as well. If you haven't already done though. We'll load that sprite. There it is. Go. We'll also center that so it comes out of the middle of the plane. Alright. So we have our sprites, now we just need to create the objects. And we'll use our new sprite for the plane. One of the things you have to remember is when you create a new enemy, you want to make sure that it's a child of enemy basic, because there's a lot of stuff like the collision events and all that happen in enemy basic. And so for us not having to redo or just copy all that code here, a simpler way to do that is just to set the enemy plane to the parent to the basic plane. I think maybe that's all you need right now. But now we're going to be adding something to the step event. And so we're adding a step event here. And what we want to do each step is we want to roll the dice to see if the enemy is going to shoot or not. How often should they shoot a bullet? And the answer is approximately I would say every 100 steps. And again, we're going to roll the dice. Here's the virtual dice. And we're going to set the sides to 100. And the way these dice things work is it'll roll the dice, and if it happens to get a 1, when it rolls the dice, then it will shoot a bullet at you. Okay. This is a little less frequent than the other bullets because it's harder to avoid, I guess. So if you do actually roll a 1, then we want to create moving. We're going to do an enemy bullet. I haven't created it yet, so hang on just a moment. Okay, so now we have that. So again, you do create moving, choose the bullet that's here, and for X and Y, we want to come from the center of the plane. Yeah, so we're not going to do moving, we're going to just create the object. And the object we want to create is object enemy bullet. We'll make it centered on the middle of the plane. And again, this is the enemy plane. So that just creates it. But what we're going to do in the enemy create event is actually get it moving towards the target. I've also forgotten to put a sprite here on the bullet, so let me do that. Going back to the bullet then, we're going to add a create event. And we want to kind of safeguard this because at the end of the game when the enemy plane or when the player plane blows up, we don't want the game to crash. So we have to be a little bit careful here such that we don't try to shoot at a non-existent plane. So first we're going to count how many planes there are. And we're expecting 1. So here's plane 1. And here we're going to say larger than. So if it's larger than 0, I'm not sure why you would have 2 player planes. Maybe you do a power up that has 2. So if we leave it like this, it'll still work if you add a second player plane. So if there is at least one a player plane on the map, then what we're going to do is, this one's kind of weird. We haven't used this one before. That's step towards. Yeah, I get a few of these mixed up, but I think it's this one here. And for our X and Y, we're going to put the name of our player plane. And then we're going to get its X coordinate. So that would be X. So you say object underscore plane 1 dot X. Dot is a period. It's kind of small, so it's hard to see. So we're just trying to get it to move towards the plane, both X and Y. The speed we're going to use is 6, I think. That might be a little slow. So here's stop at. When it finally gets to that destination, it will automatically stop. But what we're going to do is override that, and if it hits the plane, we're going to destroy the bullet. Now if there isn't object plane 1 for some reason, a good thing to do is add this last part. And we'll just have it shoot straight down in this case. So we'll set it to move like that down, and we'll do 6 again as our speed. So what we're saying here is when the bullet gets created, you check to see if there's a plane 1. If there is, you want to shoot towards it. And then if there isn't, we'll just shoot straight down. That's the idea there. Now we also have to talk about, well, what happens when the plane hits an enemy bullet. Most of our collision events look like they're buried in the objects themselves, so let's do that with the bullet. We'll add a collision event with the player's plane. And what we want to do is we want to add maybe 1 to the damage. You can decide how many points you want to add, but so let's so we'll say damage. Make sure to say other because we're on the bullet, not on the plane. And it's on the bullet that we want to actually, it's on the plane is where we want to actually set the damage. So I'm going to set it to 1 relative. So every time it gets hit by a bullet, it's going to lose, it'll acquire more damage, 1 damage point. All right, so got that kind of working, but we do need to delete it. Yeah, we want to delete the bullet. We also want to put a little small explosion there. So we'll also do a create. And here we'll make a little explosion. And we'll center it on the enemy. We'll center it on the bullet, I guess. So we'll do it relative. Another thing you have to remember with bullets is how to get rid of them when you don't need them. And we're going to be creating a lot of bullets, so it's kind of important that when it goes off screen, it gets destroyed. So we're going to add an outside room event. These are for bullets that go off to the left or off to the right. That would be under other, outside room. And again, if it goes outside the room, either left or right, we want to destroy the bullet, have it destroy itself. But what if it goes off the bottom of the view or the top of the view? So are we going to have any bullets that are going to be shooting backwards? And the answer is yes. Okay. So I think we're going to have to add a... Well, let's do this. There is an outside view. Outside view 0, but I've never been able to get that to work. But let's assume that it does work. Maybe in a later version of GameMaker they'll fix this. If it's outside the view, then also we'll delete it. Okay. I guess we don't need this one, but I'm going to leave that one there just for now. At least we'll get some of the bullets to destroy themselves. Because GameMaker keeps tracking the bullet, even though it's not, you're never going to see it again, it still has to update its position, and it slows down the game. So let's give these things a try. We'll find out if I did it right or not. Probably not, but we can try. We have our test room. I think this is where I left it. Okay, so we start with our 3 planes, and now we're going to add enemy targets. I'm just going across the page. This will be pretty hard to survive. Just adding some planes there. One thing I remember is we never got the plane moving. So here in the create event, I guess this would be in step. So in the step event, if it's about to come on screen, now we did that with enemy basic, so it might already have that behavior. So let's try this and see. Yeah, our shots are kind of slow. Okay, I'm still waiting for them to shoot at me. They are creating bullets, but they're just not moving towards me. Okay, that's a puzzle. Let's look at the bullet again. We say step towards. I think we want move towards. This one here. Yeah, that's the one we want. Step towards will only take 1 step. And we're going to say again, object plane 1 dot x and the speed is 6. And again, I'm going to get rid of this one. Okay. Another thing I noticed is the planes weren't moving through the room. So I thought by doing this it would actually we set the apparent to object enemy basic. If we go look at it, I was hoping that would call this step event. So what I would do here is, and this is one we haven't talked about yet, we want to call the parent object step event before we do any of this stuff. I think this has changed in GameMaker, something that's new, so that's why it's not really in the book. Here, this one, call parent. We want to do that first. And what that's going to do is call the step event of enemy plane 1 before it tries to create a bullet. Okay? So we're inheriting the behavior of enemy plane 1. And that behavior is when it crashes in the plane. That's there, the collision event. It starts moving when it's about to come on screen. All of that should be in the parent or enemy basic plane. So let's try it now. See if we get the behavior we want. Okay. They're still not moving. Ah, there we go. They're shooting at me. So did you see that? It's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like it worked, but I didn't expect it to, because there's one other problem. If you look at enemy basic, it doesn't start moving until it comes on screen. But I was assuming it would start shooting at me too soon. Let's try it one more time. Maybe I just didn't see the shots. Because what you don't want the plane shooting at you until they're about to come on screen. Otherwise, you get this shower of bullets. See, I'm not getting any bullets to start with. Yeah. So somehow that's working. I'm not sure why. If I add more to the room, say if I really want to make sure this is going to work, I'll add a few more to the room here. This is going to be ugly, but I'm just trying to see if this bullet problem exists. So I've added a lot more planes. Still don't see any bullets. Yeah, so somehow it's working. Hey, that was pretty good. Okay, so that's looking like it's working. I think that's it. That's our last enemy plane. So there's some things that are coming up. I think we should do some sounds. I haven't done a lot with sounds yet. And just tidying up the rest of the game. The rest of the planes are in the previous video.